Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this interview cruncher, gaining insight how war in Ukraine impacts global food supplies. I'm Sadia Kaenzig, Head of Communications at GAIN and moderator of this episode. Before February 24th, the world was the theater of a double whammy of drought and catastrophe stemming from climate change, and the COVID pandemic that hit us really hard. Now, with the war in Ukraine, and in just a few weeks, we see that millions of people may be put into harm's way, going far beyond Ukraine. De-escalation is key. Today, our panelists, all from the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, will try and give a prismatic view of what this war will entail from a food shortage spectrum. Stella Nordhagen, our expert in knowledge leadership, will give us some facts and figures and proof points on the trends we see and potential implications for global hunger. Lawrence Haddad, our executive director, will give the global perspective of such impact and what key stakeholders can do to counter it. Wubet Girma, the new country director in Ethiopia, warm welcome to her, will give the country and sub-Sahara perspective. Oftentimes, Africa is said to be the breadbasket of the world. Could they step up? And Pinjani Mkambula, our global program lead for large-scale food fortification, will speak about one effective tool that works when everything else falls apart, and that's food fortification, why it matters, especially when faced with food insecurity. So Wubet Girma, if you may, could you tell us a bit about the impact of the war in your country, please?
Thank you so much, Sadia, for this opportunity. Before going into that, I would like to highlight that this happened in the backdrop of a country going through conflict and natural disasters. So it is an added burden for Ethiopians. The impact of this is an added burden for Ethiopians. Most of Ethiopians live off of agriculture, and Ethiopia primarily uses wheat produced in country. However, though there's significant portion also being imported. However, beyond the impact on wheat, what has affected how the war has affected Ethiopia is through other products that are primarily imported, such as oil. Which we have seen a record-breaking price rise over the past few weeks. Fuel is also another produce that we are observing a price rise, which also has its effects in terms of other products and making sure that those are accessible and reachable to different parts of the country.
And what about the sub-Saharan Africa as a whole? How do you see the war impacting the continent?
I think it's good to highlight that sub-Saharan Africa is part of the world where a significant portion of the population lives off of agriculture, and it has the potential to meet the needs of the residents on the continent as well as across the world. And although this is not the ideal scenario, I would say this crisis might be a way for Africa, especially for smallholder farmers to look at increasing their productivity, and for the governments and other partners to look at systems and structures that could improve that, as well as look at other factors that could affect the accessibility and availability of, for example, grains like wheat through supporting transportation and other infrastructure. So I believe this could be an opportunity for smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, given the opportunity in the markets that would be accessible now.
So for the small, medium-sized enterprises and all, the impact on them as well, how do you see that?
Specifically for Ethiopia, I would say the rise in fuel would have a significant impact on their productivity as well as distribution of their products. But I think this is an area that we might need to look into, given that this is an emerging crisis, and we are seeing the impacts at different levels, including at enterprises and household levels.
One last word, Wubet. We often talk, and for the past 20 years, about building resilience of different communities at the society level. Do you see that all the efforts that were put in the resilience part, do you see that could also counter affect the repercussion of the war in sub-Saharan Africa?
Definitely. As human beings, I think we have overcome quite a range of crises. And I am a person who would like to believe that beyond this crisis, we would come out as more resilient, but also look at our ways of working, whether it's in agricultural production or other aspects, and see how else we can improve as human beings, even how things are perceived. So looking at paradigm shift, as well as letting that inform our action and decision going forward.
Thank you, Wubet, Girma. Thank you.